Okay, we'll keep it.
We're live.
We
Hello,
are live.
everybody. Hey, everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosa. I'm here about to show a condo at 770 Harold Street. And
I love
my
your, I
co-host,
love, hey everybody, it's Andrew
go ahead.
Plank. I love your angle there where you're showing, the background of through the sunroof of your car, a place you're about to view.
And I'm
That's
tethered to my phone.
that's money there. Good job.
So,
Yeah,
well, how was your week?
busy week. Again, really frustrating for all the buyers and, happiness for sellers, generally speaking. And it's got a lot of buyers are starting to get, my buyers are starting to get pretty frustrated. Um,
Uh-huh.
Beyond frustrated. Let's put it that way, because I've been saying they've been frustrated for a while, but now it's beyond frustrated. Still finding some stuff though. Yeah. How was your
Well,
week?
I'm finding a lot of buyers are coming in. It's funny. I showed a great place yesterday, and the buyer was like, "I can't make a decision because I haven't seen enough properties." And so
Right.
today we're going to look to see more properties, and there aren't any to see. So I had a list of 10, and I think I'm down to 3. So it's a bit, you know, it's tough.
Yeah. I mean, your client says, "Can we go see a bunch of properties? Here's my list." And you look at the list and you see that of that list, maybe half of them have already been reviewing offers, the day before when they're under contract, or they're looking at offers, at 4 o'clock today, and you just don't have time to get out there with your client. And then the rest, they're tenanted, they're unavailable. You end up with, 3 out of 10, pretty standard.
Yeah, and then you get a really frustrated buyer because their urgency level then goes higher, right?
Yeah. I've been
So,
fantasizing about like this would never work, but and it's not really realistic. But if buyers went on strike, there's I know
well,
buyers are feeling that way.
I went to show a property yesterday and I said to the buyer, if we think it's overpriced, you just wait. And then, like, if you're okay with not getting this house, we just wait and then we can offer on it later. And if you're not okay with it, then we have to offer on it now. But you're looking at the property when it's priced here. So therefore, they're going to expect you to pay what their listing price is if it's day 2 on the market. But if it's too much money, then we have to wait for the price to come down. That happens a lot in foreclosures too, right?
In foreclosures, for sure. There was one property I showed some clients. We didn't end up writing on it, but it had been on market for 1.25 for about a week, and then they dropped the price by 100,000. Presumably, they didn't get offers on offer day. They were holding off offers, I believe. So they dropped it by 100,000, reset the offer day, and then they ended up with I think it was five offers last night, and accepted an unconditional offer. But in between that, I feel like there was an opportunity. Perhaps there are some overpriced listings out there, and um, and they're fairly obviously overpriced, and maybe those are the ones that deserve us to be writing on. So rather than having 10 or 15 offers on a property that's underpriced, um, go in under value on one that's overpriced and see what happens. At least you start the conversation. Hey, Kale. I'm hoping to get you an open house soon, Kale.
So let's first of all, let's go over the stats and then we can go over what our topic is today, which is backup offers and why they're good or bad. So
Yeah.
take it away, Danielle.
We're looking for the stats on the screen.
Hold on.
3, 2, 1.
Open houses are buzzing at the moment, Kale, but what you want to do is make sure you make them effective. That's the key.
Kale is good. Kale's a colleague, and he's really knows the open house. Like, he rocks doing the open houses, and He contacts me every time I've got a new listing, and unfortunately, none of mine have really had the opportunity for an open house for him. And I've got a new one coming up, Kale, but it also, they don't want to do open houses. I'll get you one though. It's a mission now.
Okay, I have the stats on my screen. So we are at month to date, so it's the 18th. We have 389 net unconditional sales. That's compared to 990 for October last year. 480 new listings compared to 1,162 last year. And active listings were at 1,109, and that's compared to 2,122. So we're down. Oh my God.
There we are. Thanks, Danielle.
Hold on a second.
This is the blooper edition. Jane usually runs these things, but she's got a showing. So yeah.
Just take it down, Danielle.
That's good. Keep it up. I like it. Anyway, it's interesting because active listings down almost to 1,100. Next week, probably under 1,100 active listings. And what's interesting too, actually, Danielle, do bring it back up if you don't mind. Doing the market watch at the very top there, new listings, 177 new listings versus pending 189. We had more properties sell than we had come on market. So we're going to continue to see that number drop if this trend continues. 23 price increases, though, that's good news for some folks. People are overshooting the market, apparently. 8 increases, again, maybe that's a situation where there was, they feel like they missed the market, they got too much activity, and they decided to really course correct really quick. One back on market, 187 changed hands in the last week, 18 expired, and 1 was withdrawn.
Right. Okay. And actually, I did see one canceled and relisted, and it was relisted higher. You can get rid of the stats now. And can you put the label on, please?
Excellent. So that was the stats. Thanks, everyone. And today we wanted to talk about backup offers and maybe the pros and cons of getting a backup offer accepted, how to make that work, why it may not be a bad idea, why it might be a bad idea, all that good stuff. And Jane, actually, I know you have to run early today, but if we do run out of topic for that, we can just expand that to talk about any conditions that maybe are a little off the wall or unnormal, or ones that are subject are for the seller's benefit. Okay,
well, let's just do backup. I think we have enough time.
Okay, good.
So what a backup offer is for a seller, it's a great thing because it's an offer that comes in after the first offer, and it's negotiated separately from the first offer with one condition, which is it's subject to the first offer collapsing on or before a certain date. So if you have an offer, let's say it's the 18th, so let's say it's open till the 28th of October, you can accept a backup offer, and that would go into play the 29th. So if the first offer collapses, the second offer would automatically go into play. So benefit for the seller, Andrew.
Well, it benefits the seller in that they have an offer in there. They have a backup right in their pocket. They don't have to go right back to market and go back to trying to get and gather up more offers. There's someone right there ready, willing, and able to go. I'll just correct one thing. It isn't always an unconditional backup offer. The buyers don't always have no conditions. A backup offer can be.
No, I didn't mean that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, but it has you negotiated separately, and it has an additional condition.
An additional condition, and on top of potentially any other buyer conditions, and that additional condition is for the seller's benefit. Yes, great. Sorry, it just came across the other way, so I wanted to make sure that was clarified.
That's okay.
So where that often happens is, a property that maybe, if you're the seller and your property has gone to market and gone to offers, and you've received lots of offers, and one of the offers is a higher price than the others by a long shot, but it has a number of conditions. You really want to take that, but you also don't want to risk that offer falling apart and then having to go back to negotiations and maybe not reach that kind of price point again. or even the price point of some of the other offers, which may even be unconditional. So if you take that first offer, it's a good idea to try to ask some of these other folks that were really wanting to make an offer to consider a backup, and especially if those offers were unconditional.
So when the advantage is for the seller is sometimes, let's say something happens in the conditions, the seller, let's say they find vermiculite in the attic or whatever, then the first offer cannot be changed and it pushes it through. Because if you start renegotiating the first offer, you've opened it up. And generally, that's not a good thing, because then the seller can just say bye-bye. And so you just want to, the buyer will usually just push the offer through. So sometimes when you do a backup offer, you're actually pushing the first offer through. Sometimes financing can be an issue with the first buyer. And if financing is an issue and you come in with a backup offer and you have like a very strong buyer, you will say, you know what, the financing, if it is true, is very strong and this is not going to be an issue for this buyer. This is particularly important in properties that are kind of, I would say, marginalized, like there may have strange requirements that need better financing, like a strata hotel or something like that, which can't get conventional financing, or it's over $1 million and they need 20% down, all these things. So you can sometimes when you write an offer and it's conditional on financing, the buyer maybe doesn't have all their ducks in a row and they have to get them in a row. And this is one reason why you want to have everything pre-approved before you go to write the offer, so that you don't fall into this. So the second offer will just like come in and say, I got it. Right?
Yeah. So when you write an offer, a backup offer, it does sometimes put pressure on the first offer. And that's what Jane was saying. The first offer has less leeway to negotiate or maneuver if something is found on inspection or if they have a problem with their financing, because that second offer may be higher, for example, than the first offer, and the seller may actually not want to give that extension that they would if they didn't have somebody in their back pocket. They would consider an extension if the first buyer came to them and said, hey, I need another couple of days for my financing. But with a backup offer, and especially if that backup offer is in a higher price point, it's going to put some pressure on the seller, on the first buyer, to either buy the place as it is, and remove their conditions, or get out of the way.
Yeah.
It's best to get releases and all of that of contract from all the parties for the first offer to come into play. Now, an interesting one, Jane, is the whole idea of subject to the seller no longer being obligated in any way to the first accepted offer is usually some of the language in this backup offer. Where it gets kind of muddy is, if the seller does want to give an extension, if the seller does want to negotiate price a little bit and keep that first offer in play, because maybe it's a little bit higher money than the second offer. And, how much leeway do they have to make that happen if they do accept a backup offer? And
so I would suggest people, I mean, I've been given advice both ways, but I would definitely talk to your managing broker before you pursue that. We are not lawyers.
Exactly. And some language in some of these backup offers make it really clear that the seller will not negotiate any changes to the existing contract. And otherwise it gets a little bit more murky.
Right. So the advantage for a buyer in a backup offer is you don't often, like if you're in a hot property and offer A, let's say it's a development property. There's one in Esquimalt right now that's pretty hot property, and it had an offer that the first offer collapsed. There was a backup offer. The backup offer went into play, and now the sellers are saying, if you guys want to have a new backup offer, we can do that. And the advantage is that you may not be competing against other offers, but the seller will try and negotiate you up to where the first offer was. So let's say the property is priced at 800 and the first offer is 810 in multiple offers or whatever. The backup offer, they will also try to negotiate up to that 810 if they can. They want it to be as good as the first offer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where it's an advantage or disadvantage for buyers is as well, once you make that offer and you get accepted in a backup position, you don't know if you've actually bought the property for a little while. You are waiting for that first buyer to get out of the way or to go forward. If they get out of the way, you immediately slot into the position of having an accepted offer and doing your due diligence if you haven't already done it. If they go ahead and buy the first buyers, then you've been off the market for a week or so without the benefit of being able to buy another property, because you really don't want to put yourself in a position of having agreed to buy more than one property at a time. So you take yourself off the market a little bit when you go in a backup position. But the benefit of it is, as time moves on, more properties get seen, more interest in a property. If you can get yourself even in a backup position on a property, especially if it's the property for you, it's worth the wait, because not every offer goes forward. Not every buyer can get their financing. Not every buyer is satisfied with a building inspection. There are things that happen in the meantime that make them go away. And you then don't have to, if that offer were to fall apart and you weren't in a backup position, you were just waiting to see what happened, that offer might fall apart. And then the seller says, okay, great, let's relaunch this listing. Let's do a price change. Let's get some more activity on this. Let's hold off offers again. And maybe it goes back to a price even higher than you could have had as a backup.
Yeah, you're going to avoid that competition.
Yes.
Yeah. But as you said, you're taken off the market. So sometimes this is dependent on your level of risk and also your agent's level of risk and their relationship with the other realtor and how well they communicate and how well the listing realtor communicates. Often, like in a heated offer situation where you have two great offers and but neither one is unconditional, the listing agent may say, do you want to be in a backup position? And so how they would do that is, let's say, taking the offer on October 18th and it's open until the conditions are removal date is the 28th, okay, is they would then say, okay, you can actually start removing your conditions at the same time if you want to spend the money and the time, or you could have your conditions removal date like a week after. But let's just talk about actually subject to sale offers, because subject to sale offers have a 24-hour clause, which somebody can write a backup offer on that and remove their conditions. So right, depending on how the contract's written, the first offer will have time to remove their conditions, and then they'll have a subject to sale with a 24, 48, or 72-hour clause.
So Jane, you're talking about a specialized kind of situation where backup offers can be pretty powerful. And that's where someone has said, I want to buy this house, but I have a house to sell. So I'll buy it if I can sell my own. And the seller will often agree to that, provided that they can include a stipulation that they can still look at other offers and take a backup offer. But not only take a backup offer, but that backup offer can become the primary offer, because it triggers, as Jean said, what's called a time clause, this 24 or 48 or 72-hour period where the first buyer has to decide if they are going to remove conditions even if their home hasn't sold and go forward. And if they don't, then that secondary offer just slots immediately into place.
Right. And so in order to give the notice, the second offer has to be unconditional. So at that time, you can be removing your conditions the same time as the first offer is removing their conditions. And then you can just say, like on the 10th day, yeah, hey, you want it or not? Because right, we want it.
Right. So Yeah, and oftentimes in that case, a backup offer doesn't have to be the full price as the other offer, because a backup offer that's not conditional on sale might be considered more valuable than an offer that is, um, dependent on the sale of a house. Um, and
However,
mhm.
however, in a backup offer, um, if somebody has an offer subject to sale, the you're right. There may be some consideration, but if the first offer is so good, they may not accept the backup offer unless it's better than the first offer. They may go, you
Right.
know what? I have an offer of $1 million and you have an offer of 800,000. So we're going to stick with the first offer.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's definitely those considerations to take into account, and the seller will definitely not want, if they wouldn't want that to be triggered, that time clause to be triggered, they're not going to accept that other offer. No, it has to be compelling enough for it to work. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, backup offers can be beneficial. I've had some really good success with them for my buyers in the past. One of the things that we find in real estate is, when I have a listing and it's under contract and there's conditions for, let's say, the next week for the buyer to do their building inspections and financing and so forth. Uh, at that period, I'm going to get some showing requests from people or some inquiries from other agents saying, is this still available? Is this still available? And when I reply, it's under contract with conditions due next Friday, they'll say, okay, let me know if it falls apart. They won't come and view it, and they'll just want to know if it falls apart. And so you end up with this, you build up this dam of this energy of people who, if it does fall apart, you've got to call as a listing agent and say, hey, it's fallen apart. And now everybody is jumping over themselves and scrambling to get through the home and to make an offer potentially.
Yeah.
Whereas the savvy agent and the savvy buyer who does go and look at that property, sees it and says, okay, you know what, we like this, and we're going to make a backup offer. They
That's
probably
a judgment call. I just want to say that's a judgment call on the savvy agent because they may be they may be it's a time related issue because the savvy agent may not have time to view properties with conditions. There's somebody on the wall there. Oh my god,
yeah, I saw that they're cleaning windows.
it's like a monkey. It freaked me out.
Spider-Man.
So so what I say to the listing agent depends on the buyer again and depends on what's out there. There's no right or wrong, right?
There's no right or wrong, but there's strategies, and some of them in different markets and different situations. And the main point of this is just understanding that these are options available to people,
Yeah.
and they don't always work. And it's important to at least know your options. And I have, again, seen some pretty good success. Now, it's a lot of work making backup offers that may never go anywhere. But when when you have a 1 in 20 chance of making an offer in a competing, of getting an offer accepted in a competing situation, and there's maybe a 1 in 10 chance of a conditional offer falling apart, then being in a backup position is perhaps better odds.
Yeah, and also what I say to buyers too, if we have time, so again, it's the time issue, is if we have time, then what we can do is go and see the property. And then if it sells, then you know what the market is saying in terms of the value.
Agreed. Yeah, that's all part of, even if it's under contract, to be able to see it and see what it eventually sold for. There's a lot, your internal, you're ringing. Your internal sense of value is much increased by actually seeing these properties as opposed to just seeing them on paper. And you and I both know that the experience of viewing a property is much different than seeing it on the listing. Sometimes they look much better, sometimes they look much worse, or there's something about it. So you'll understand why it went for the price it did and get a sense of what things are going for. Anyway.
And the thing is once, so here's how you know the market is starting to shift is if the initial offers actually do start collapsing, that the buyer may have seen another property that they prefer, or there's something wrong with the property that they're not willing to let go, then move on with. Like there's lots of reasons why offers collapse. But when in a fast market where people are feeling really confident, they won't release that offer because their bet is, despite the problems that they found maybe during a home inspection, the prices are still going to go up. But in a slower market, you'll see offers. It takes like maybe 2 or 3 offers for an offer to go through.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. The buyers have more choice, and they can afford to be more picky, and they have the benefit of time being on their side. If property prices are stable or even going down, then why not be extra picky? And when prices are going up, then you might be picky about a $5,000. You might not want to be picky about a $5,000 repair if prices are going up, because you then go back to looking at other properties on market, and in another week, values might have gone up by 10 grand on average.
Exactly.
So, yeah, maybe not that quickly, but it does happen fast right now.
Yep. So
you've got a showing to do.
I do. It's in half an hour, but I do have a question. What new listings do you have coming up?
I've got a listing coming at 1629 Camosun Street. It's a 1904 built home. Really nice. It's got great character and just a lot of charm to it. It's really beautifully landscaped, beautifully cared for. Nice high ceilings inside, 10-foot ceilings, I believe they are. Might be 9, but I think they're 10-foot. Great bedroom, 3 beds, 2 baths, a little office, a big outbuilding. It's pretty much a 2-car garage. Heated, not heated, but insulated and wired. And it looks like it's actually plumbed, and it's in a section, an area, a corner property. It allows for a larger than average garden suite. So with variance, that might be available. 1.1 it's going up at, and it's going to list this Thursday. I've got photos and floor plans I'm all organizing right now. And yeah, we'll be looking at offers the following Wednesday.
Shoot.
How about you, Jane? Did you say cheap?
I said shoot.
Shoot.
I have a buyer. I have a property coming up. It's a traditional 1960s BC box in Saanich at 1924 Blackthorn. The price is going to be around $1 million. I'm not sure exactly. Beautifully kept home. It has a pool.
Pool. Okay.
Yep.
Above ground? Built in?
Built in, 3 beds up, and a cheater ensuite upstairs, and then another bathroom and a bedroom downstairs, and it has a rec room. And it's main level entry, so you could build an accessible suite downstairs if you want. It's on a large lot too, which is really nice. So it has a big green grassy area. And this family's really enjoyed this property over a long time.
I love that area. I think it's a great, great value for the money compared to what else is around.
Yeah. It's kind of an undiscovered area. So, yep, that's where we're at for now. And yeah, I have my listing at the Oswego Hotel. If anybody's interested, it's Strata Hotel. So you're guaranteed income. It's been around since 2007. So established hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a beautiful 2-bedroom townhouse on Brittany in Colwood, which is 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's 1,500 square feet, has a single-car garage, and it's located right beside the Galloping Goose Trail and within walking distance to West Shore Mall.
Yeah. Are those those are not age restricted?
They are. They're 55 plus.
Right. Yeah. But still a great little retirement complex for someone.
Yeah.
So yeah, love that. Good job. Yeah. So then buyers wise, how are you finding it? I mean, I've got buyers for pretty much all areas of Victoria, but mostly I'd say my most desperate right now is sort of Saanich West and View Royal, looking for a single family home, potentially with a suite. And I'm also looking for a single family home in the Gordon Head area. Doesn't necessarily have to have a suite, but anything under 1.2 million for either of those.
So I have, lots of buyers right now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're looking for popular product in Victoria and Saanich East. So I do find buyers come to the city. They love Fairfield. Then they love Oak Bay. Then they love Saanich East, and they go up the east side, or they're like west of the highway, but they don't cross.
I think it depends on, if you've got the money, people tend to want to stay on the east side, although I think there's so many great elements of the west. But when you're thinking value conscious, you're going to go a little more west, or we just don't have the money to go to the east side. There's a song about east side versus west side, isn't there? But anyway, I don't know. I feel like there are some, versus what you'd pay to get into Oak Bay, there's some really great value out there because prices in Oak Bay have just gone pretty nuts.
Well, many people in Oak Bay are buying in, surprisingly, Langford in Bear Mountain. So there you go.
Interesting. That seems odd. Where are you hearing this?
Because I've had listings in both places, and I see the same people at open houses.
At the open houses. Yeah. Are they going to townhouses and condos in Bear Mountain, or are they buying houses?
They're buying houses that don't need any work.
Right. Okay. So they're just tired of those 1940s houses.
Flooding basements.
Right. Low height flooding basements. Okay. There you go. There's still no village in Bear Mountain, though, that I find is kind of, that's the missing element of Bear Mountain. I
agree.
They get that. Once they have that, I think it'll be great.
It's on its way.
Yeah, it is. All things count.
Okay, my main man.
Yep. Great. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you picked something up. If you have any questions, as always, you can reach Jane or I. Jane, how would we reach you?
So you can reach me at the Briar Hill Group. Thank you, Danielle. BriarHillGroup.com. You can reach me at my phone number at 250-744-0775. And by the way, you can now listen to these on the podcast Vancouver Island Time. And any podcast that you listen to, please subscribe. We had very many downloads last week, but we transferred all these to that podcast, by the way, Andrew.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, Danielle sent me a note about that. That's exciting.
Yeah. You can reach Andrew at?
You can reach Andrew at, you can reach me at 250-360-6106. Email me info@andrewplank.com, or check out my website. Lots of resources there at andrewplank.com. Jane, it's like you've had a little guy on your shoulder there. Washing there he is. Well, little Ant-Man. You should see if you can wash your windows. You've got a lot of windows there.
All right, everybody, take care.
Thanks, everybody.
See you later.
See you next week.